Think again. Ms. Fisher opens the case with a bombshell, asserting that Mr. Stewart is the biological father of her daughter, Kaalia, because understanding the father's medical history is critical due to her serious medical condition. Mr. Stewart counters fiercely, denying paternity and suggesting Ms. Fisher had multiple partners during the conception window. He accuses her of trying to pin the baby on him because of his reputation as a good father. And guess what? The courtroom drama is just heating up.
Ms. Fisher, you're here to prove that Mr. Stewart is your daughter Kaalia's biological father. You state that your daughter has a serious medical condition and it is imperative that you know the father's medical history. Mr. Stewart, you claim that Ms. Fisher was with multiple partners during the window of conception and you have the proof.
Yes.
You state that Ms. Fisher is trying to pin her baby on you because she knows you are a good father.
Just when you think it's all been said, the plot thickens. Ms. Fisher stands firm, insisting Mr. Stewart is the father, as they were intimately involved around the time Kaalia was conceived. Mr. Stewart dismisses the relationship as purely physical and questions the timing of the pregnancy announcement based on their brief encounter. The judge dives into the details, probing about protection, which Mr. Stewart first confirms, then stumbles, sparking a fiery exchange. Brace yourself, the emotional fireworks are about to explode.
Why do you believe he is the biological father?
Because at the time my baby was conceived, that's who I was having sexual relations.
Take me back. What's the nature of this relationship?
It was just a sexual relationship, Your Honor.
Did you use protection?
The first few times, yes. Yes, Your Honor. A week after we started messing around, you know, she come out, she showed me pregnancy test I'm like, it's not my baby.
If you thought that was intense, hold on because it gets wilder. Ms. Fisher describes knowing she was pregnant from early symptoms and immediately telling Mr. Stewart, who flatly denied being the father right off the bat. This confession ramps up the tension in the courtroom, showcasing the emotional and complex nature of their dispute. The atmosphere gets even more charged as we dive deeper into their tumultuous relationship.
And you immediately said, Mr. Stewart, this is your
I showed it to him and his first reaction, it ain't mine.
That's what he said?
Yes, that's exactly what he said.
Exactly.
That is not the reaction you look for when you tell a man you're pregnant.
I just really just rolled with it, Your Honor, because I mean, at the end of the day, I got 2 other kids. I don't have time to be begging no man to step up and be a man.
After this is over, did the relationship continue?
Yes, he was just at my house like a week and a half ago.
Oh.
I mean, I got bored.
You won't believe this twist. Delving deeper, the court discovers that another man might be the father and has even signed the birth certificate. This revelation adds complexity to the case, with Mr. Stewart expressing strong doubts and distancing himself from any responsibility. This moment throws the courtroom into a whirlwind of chaos, impacting the child's identity and welfare directly. Keep watching. The plot is about to thicken even more.
Did you call him and tell him the baby's here?
No, ma'am. He play a lot of games, and I'm really fed up with his games.
You like this game he playing? Mr. Stewart, in your court papers, you stated that you knew for certain that Miss Fisher was sleeping with other men.
Yes, Your Honor.
What do you know and how do you know?
He named another potential father as the biological father, and then on top of that, another man signed the birth certificate.
Strap in. This roller coaster is hitting another loop. The discussion shifts to the serious medical condition of the child, emphasizing the urgent need to identify the father for medical reasons. Enter Mr. Kern, another contender for paternity, further complicating the tangled web of relationships, as he too was involved with Ms. Fisher during the critical conception period. The next revelations are bound to be jaw-dropping.
Right?
Yes, I know that. I got 3 kids.
But you admittedly slept with Mr. Kern during the window of conception.
Yeah.
Well, that lends credibility to your testimony, Mr. Stewart.
That's why I don't believe I'm
I'd like to hear from Mr. Kern. Jerome, would you please escort Mr. Kern into the courtroom? Hello, sir. Mr. Kern, thank you so much for joining us today. He's indicated to the court that you could potentially be Kaalia's biological father. Were you aware of this?
Yes, ma'am.
Just when you thought we'd seen it all, there's more. We learn this isn't Miss Fisher's first rodeo with paternity disputes, which casts doubt on her credibility and highlights a pattern of such issues. The judge's frustration bubbles over as she laments the recurring irresponsibility and potential serious future implications. What's coming next? DNA results that could flip everything upside down.
No.
Now you gotta say.
Don't y'all shake your head, because you in it too. You still sleeping with her. You can make another paternity issue right now. You was just with her a week ago, and you was with her for this baby and had the paternity issue on the last child. None of you all should be shaking your head. So, Mr. Kern, you taking care of this baby. You think this baby's yours.
Yes, ma'am.
Fasten your seatbelt for some seismic revelations. The climax of the court session arrives with the DNA results, which reveal
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Kern, you are not the father. The next result reads as follows. In the case of Fisher versus Stewart, it has been determined by this court. Mr. Stewart, you are not father.
Oh.
Don't clown. Don't clown. Don't you dare clown in here.
The case of Willingham versus Griffin Allen starts with the judge setting the stage. Ms. Willingham claims that the late Nathaniel Allen is the father of her son Nicorian, but the Allen family isn't having it, leading to a heated battle over death benefits and paternity rights. And we're just getting started.
Hello, Your Honor.
Hello.
This is a case of Willingham versus Griffin Allen.
Thank you, Jerome. Good day, everyone. Ms. Willingham, you are here to prove that Nathaniel Allen, who tragically passed away, fathered your son, Nicorian, because his mother and aunt say he is not father, preventing you from collecting death benefits.
Check out this twist. Ms. Griffin and her sister accuse Ms. Willingham of trying to grab Social Security death benefits by lying about her son's dad. The burning question is whether Nicorian is really Nathaniel's son. And just when you think it couldn't get messier,
Ms. Griffin, you and your sister say Ms. Willingham is trying to pin this child on your deceased son so she can collect Social Security death benefits and work the system. Ms. Willingham, what has this past year and a half been like since Nathaniel's family denies your son?
the drama ramps up and the tissues come out. Ms. Willingham opens up about the tough times she's faced because Nathaniel's family rejected her son. She fights back against claims of cheating the system and stands strong on proving Nathaniel's fatherhood. Stay tuned. The emotional roller coaster is just getting started.
I don't ask for help, so as far as depending on the system, I don't know where they're getting that from. I barely call them and ask them for anything. So I just basically want to get the results out that, Nathaniel is the father of Nicorian, so they can know.
I can see this is really upsetting you. You don't know where to begin. Ms. Griffin?
Yes.
You say Ms. Willingham is here about the money.
Yes.
Oh, it gets more intense. Ms. Griffin recounts how Ms. Willingham came to her right after Nathaniel died, asking for a letter to help with death benefit claims. This makes everyone's eyebrows shoot up. You'll want to stick around for the next twist.
My son in Paris, he come to me and says, you have to go and help me. Y'all need to help me. And I said, what I need to do? So she took me to the Social Security office. They told her she had to get letters. So I wrote a letter and a couple of them. And no, I didn't believe this is my grandson.
You say you just don't believe
No.
this is his biological child. You don't believe this is your grandson.
No.
Boom. The judge scrutinizes a letter Ms. Griffin wrote, trying to convince the Social Security office about Nicorian's paternity. This letter is now under the courtroom spotlight, stirring up more debate and distrust. The surprises aren't stopping.
Did you write the letter?
Yes, I did.
Did you bring that letter to court today?
No, I did not.
I have the letter.
You do have the letter?
Yes.
I'd like to see that. So, Ms. Willingham, you asked Ms. Griffin to please write a letter on your behalf because you wanted to send it to the Social Security office so that you could potentially collect death benefits for your child, whom you say is Nathaniel Allen's biological child.
Each clue reveals more of this tangled tale. Ms. Willingham explains how Ms. Griffin's letter might have backfired, making her plea with the Social Security office harder because the family didn't support Nicorian's paternity claim. The tension's rising. Don't blink now.
To whom it may concern, I am Latricia Griffin, the mother of Nathaniel Allen, who is deceased. This is what he told me. There's two blank. These are his kids, but Nicorian Allen, he had doubt, so he wanted to get a blood test on him.
It's getting wild in the courtroom. Accusations are flying everywhere as loyalty and personal ties get questioned. Ms. Griffin throws shade, suggesting Ms. Willingham was unfaithful and doubting Nathaniel's fatherhood, which Ms. Willingham fiercely denies. The drama's at full blast. More fireworks are on the way.
My nephew was not together. He was in another relationship with someone else.
Girl, boo.
Yes.
Her
please.
son,
Because
honey,
they would
no.
stand with me.
And she
That's
wasn't.
all.
She was staying with
Stand
somebody.
with you. No.
Friend, stand with me when they weren't together.
No.
Who was staying with you?
My son and his other friend.
Was staying with you.
Yes.
So you knew he had moved on and was in another relationship.
Yes.
And you believe she had moved on and was in
Yes.
another relationship.
The gloves are off and emotions are running wild. Both sides let out their frustrations and pains, revealing the deeply personal and agonizing parts of their feud. Accusations of neglect and emotional damage fill the room, painting a vivid picture of the stormy relationships. It's about to explode.
That's not the case. And
And
I
on
really
the
don't
day
care
that
if y'all
she
do.
had the baby, he didn't even go to the hospital because he said it was none of his.
He's a liar.
Was he at the hospital, Ms. Willingham?
No.
No.
Matter of fact, I went through the whole pregnancy by myself. It was me and my baby. When I was in labor, she called me, was like, have you talked to my son? And I told her, no, I don't want to. I'm fine without him.
I didn't have no
Never
reason to
took her
call you
life.
because my son said he didn't have nothing to do
Whatever.
with you.
If that's the case, my son still be going over to your house. What do you mean? Help me do what?
You need a child care to go to work.
Okay, so I work.
Just when you thought it was over, there's a twist. A phone call brings LaShawna London into the mix, adding her opinion that despite Nathaniel's initial denial, she thinks Nicorian might actually be his kid. This throws a wrench in the works, making the plot even spicier. Up next, the moment we've all been waiting for.
What is your cousin's name? Oh, you wrote it down.
It's
LaShawna London.
Hello?
Hello? Is LaShawna London in, please?
This is me.
Hello, Ms. London. This is Judge Lake calling from Paternity Court. We are here discussing paternity of Nicorian Allen. Your family is in court today saying that Mr. Allen, Nathaniel, had words with you concerning this child. Is that true?
Yes, ma'am.
Here comes the big reveal. In a dramatic turn, the results of the grandparentage DNA test are disclosed.
It has been determined by this court, Latricia Griffin and Nicorian Allen are related.
Here comes the bombshell. Ms. Patterson claims that Mr. Rothwell is the father of her 1-year-old daughter, Jade. She lays out her struggles with raising the child alone and the financial burdens that have fallen on her parents due to Mr. Rothwell's alleged abandonment. Buckle up, because Mr. Rothwell's comeback is a doozy.
You have petitioned the court for a DNA test to prove to your ex-boyfriend, Mr. Rothwell, that he is the father of your 1-year-old daughter, Jade. You claim he abandoned you, stuck you with bills, and now your parents are forced to help you raise your daughter.
Yes, Your Honor.
But after today's DNA result, he will pay.
Ms. Patterson is suing Mr. Rothwell for a hefty sum of $6,423.45 for child-rearing expenses, suggesting a legal acknowledgement of paternity could lead to financial support. Wait till you hear the clapback from Mr. Rothwell.
You're suing him for $6,423.05 for child-rearing expenses. Mr. Rothwell, you say Ms. Patterson has her parents fooled into believing she's not a cheater, and you refuse to be the fool for taking care of a child that's not yours. All right, so Ms. Patterson, does Mr. Rothwell any reason to deny your daughter?
No, Your Honor, and today I will prove that he is father. I'm tired of doing everything by myself. I had to rely on my parents to do everything or help me when we both made this child.
Plot twist incoming. Mr. Rothwell fires back with a denial that adds a spicy layer of drama. He suggests Ms. Patterson has bamboozled her own parents into believing she's been faithful, vehemently denying paternity, and refusing responsibility for the child he believes isn't his. What unfolds next is even more jaw-dropping.
We both graduated from the same high school. We met in 2011, rekindled through a mutual friend. We started dating on and off because he's a cheater, so I stayed with
I'm a cheater. You're a cheater.
I got pregnant in 2013 in September.
So wait, relationship, you said you were dating on and off?
On and off, yeah.
Were you in a committed relationship at some point?
Yeah, I was always committed to him. He wasn't committed to me.
The plot thickens here. Ms. Patterson recalls the moment she discovered she was pregnant during a trip, and Mr. Rothwell's immediate denial of paternity, which caused a major rift. The story only spirals from here, leading into some intense family testimonies.
Mr. Rothwell, in your opinion, were you in a committed relationship with Ms. Patterson?
Yes, ma'am.
You're a liar.
You were. Did you do a lot of cheating?
Yes, he did. What proof do you have? I have never cheated on him.
No.
Never.
At what point did you find out you're pregnant?
In 2013, when we were on a trip for my birthday, I didn't have my regular monthly. So we took a pregnancy test, and I could see in his eyes that he was scared. So he made up some excuse. When we came back from this trip, we got into a big argument.
Family ties are tested to the max in this segment. Ms. Patterson's parents detail how they took Mr. Rothwell into their home, treating him like one of their own, only to feel betrayed by his refusal to accept responsibility for Jade. The tension in the courtroom is about to explode. Stick around.
We clothed him, we bathed him, fed him, treated him. My mom treated him like a son, as a son-in-law, and I don't have a ring on my finger.
All right, I want to hear from your parents. Please stand.
He's a deadbeat. Sorry. Deadbeat? Oh, really? He's a deadbeat. His daughter called me daddy. It's a shame.
The tension is palpable as the family's frustration boils over. Amidst chaotic arguments, a direct appeal is made to Mr. Rothwell to step up and acknowledge his responsibilities, highlighting the real-life impact of the court's paternity decision. The evidence presented next could turn the tide.
Responsibility, man. That's all you need to do. You don't owe me anything. Just do what you need to do.
Ms. Patterson and Mr. Rothwell met when they were in high school.
Yes.
Yeah.
You began to form a relationship. At what point do you take him in and he starts living with you?
When I got pregnant.
When you found out you were pregnant, then you take him in.
Yes.
Here's where the evidence hits the fan. Photos and testimonies about Mr. Rothwell's involvement at key moments like the doctor's appointments and birth are displayed, suggesting his initial acceptance of fatherhood. The courtroom is about to go from heated to scorching. Watch for the judge's next move.
Who does that? If you are not the father, why you sign the birth certificate? At the time. Today you're gonna learn that you're the father, man. You're gonna learn today.
These are pictures of, explain to me, this first picture is
the first picture is actually, we left a doctor's appointment, and I was actually, that day, I was on my way to the hospital to get induced, and he was there.
Now watch as the focus shifts unexpectedly. The conversation veers towards Mr. Rothwell's apparent obsession with material things like his truck, overshadowing his responsibility responsibilities as a father. The courtroom's reaction to this revelation is too good to miss. Keep watching.
Red lights,
He hugged his truck more than he do my daughter.
Well, I'm not going to take part
Your
in
Honor, and he's an electrician junkie,
mine.
so he likes all the new latest iPads, iPhones,
So what
all
are you
that.
saying? You're
decision. That's
saying
my
that he gives
But you're supposed to be
this
taking care of
truck
your child.
No.
more
More
time,
attention.
care, and
Wow.
attention.
Yes.
Than his
Your
own
Honor.
self. He care for his truck more than
So
he do
hold on.
himself.
If he
I bet you
afford
he
an
wash his truck
apartment-
more than he do himself.
Get ready for the big reveal. The DNA results finally come in.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Rothwell, you are the father.
I told
Feel
you.
stupid, don't
I told you. You owe my child an apology. You owe my child an apology.
The courtroom drama kicks off with a bang. Mr. Levette accuses Ms. Jackson of cheating and doubts he's the dad of her 15-month-old son, Corey Jr. Ms. Jackson fires back, saying Mr. Levette is definitely the father and blames his suspicions on his own insecurities. Buckle up. The paternity battle is just getting started.
You say her affairs have caused you to doubt that you fathered her 15-month-old son, Corey Jr. Ms. Jackson, you say Mr. Lovett is definitely your son's father and is doubting paternity because of his needless insecurities. Mr. Lovett, what is your relationship like with Corey Jr.? He's 15 months
That's
old.
my baby. I love him.
That's your baby. He is adorable.
Yeah.
That's his baby, but he denied him.
I have doubts.
Things heat up fast as Mr. Levette and Ms. Jackson throw accusations like confetti. Mr. Levette says Ms. Jackson cheated because he cheated first, making a messy loop of mistrust. The judge scratches his head, asking if Mr. Levette really thinks she's just copying him. Their relationship drama gets even juicier. Stay tuned.
In defense of your own cheating.
Exactly.
No,
Do you think she's doing it to get back at you?
no, cause
Do you think she's doing it because you're doing it?
no.
So how do you know she's even doing that?
She's just a type of woman that moves on. Look, she started having kids at the age of 18. She ain't gonna stop because of me. She got
What?
6 kids.
I had
I'm
4
fine.
kids when you met me. You
So-
gave me 2 more.
Can you believe this? Ms. Jackson admits she put tracking devices on Mr. Levette's phone. Mr. Levette discovered these gadgets and flipped out, showing just how deep their trust issues go. The plot thickens, and the drama isn't letting up.
The guy never came inside my house. The guy pulled up, cut my grass. After that, we sat on the back of the
Ain't
truck,
nobody
had a cold
should be
drink. That
over
was it.
there.
That's what he came up and pulled up on.
Then that same guy ended up sending naked pictures to my phone.
Because you asked him
No,
for
matter
him.
of fact, it was
He
her phone.
guy.
It was her
He-
phone.
he
I
got
was
in
talking
my
like I was
Facebook.
talking
He
like I
got
was
in
her.
my-
But I had her phone. We switched phones that day. So I was texting, and then he sent me a picture. The same guy that supposed to be
And
my
what guy?
cousin.
Wait a minute
That's
now.
not true. That's not true.
Is this the grass cutting guy?
Yes.
Their personal lives are a tangled mess. Both are involved with other partners, making their divorce and custody battles even trickier. The judge breaks down how their actions mess with their kids' custody and support. Just when you think it can't get more chaotic, it does.
You can't get divorced because you keep getting pregnant.
Exactly.
Not by me.
Her husband is here. We're gonna meet him in a moment. Now you can talk about it if you want, but you started a relationship with her too.
Right.
Exactly.
And got her pregnant.
Right. And I've been taking care of my responsibility.
The suspense is off the charts as the DNA results come in.
It has been determined by this court.
Oh my God.
Mr. Lovett, you are Ariel's father.
The case of Jackson versus Figures kicks off with Ms. Jackson throwing the daddy card at Mr. Figures for their kid Daniil, who, by the way, has been in the world for 20 whole years without so much as a peep from Mr. Figures. With her determination cranked up to 11, Ms. Jackson is all in to pin the paternity badge on Mr. Figures, setting the scene for an episode that's equal parts emotional roller coaster and legal circus, but don't go anywhere. The saga takes an even more dramatic turn next.
Ms. Jackson, you say Mr. Figures was a smooth-talking Casanova who swept you off your feet and out of your clothes and then left you with a baby.
Yes, Your Honor.
You claim Mr. Figures disappeared 20 years ago, and now you want proof that he is definitely your son, Daniil's biological father.
Ms. Jackson takes us down memory lane, detailing her whirlwind romance with Mr. Figures that started with hard eyes and ended up in a baby carriage, sans protection. It's like a soap opera plot, but with real stakes, setting up the big question mark over Daniil's paternity and dishing out the drama that keeps us hooked. And trust me, the tension only escalates from here.
When I saw him, the long, curly black hair, he was just so, I was stunned. He was gorgeous. He was gorgeous.
Mr. Figures.
Yeah.
And you, it sounds like love at first sight.
It was infatuation. I was never in love with him.
As Mr. Figures and Ms. Jackson dig through their romantic rubble, including a lineup of could-be daddies and their protection-free liaisons, the air gets thick with tension. They can't agree on who left the cap off the toothpasta, let alone the details of their past, turning the drama up to a spicy level of Maury Povich. The next revelation is something you have to see to believe.
We used to have these little things that was called a green grass, right?
we could go out, pick a spot, and get to know each other, per se. That's what we did one night. And at that time, when you're younger, sometimes people change their names and have these, call yourself little nicknames or whatever, right? So at that time, that was me. You see, she remembered.
The convo heats up over Ms. Jackson's pregnancy newsflash and Mr. Figures' subsequent ghosting act. There is said, she said banter, and Mr. Figures, not it, claim on paternity. Turn the episode's central mystery into a guessing game wrapped in a riddle, spiced with a dash of denial. What happens next will leave your jaw on the floor.
No, I didn't go to him and tell him that.
You know she carried my baby.
No,
yeah,
I went to him
because when later on that day, he came to me and was like,
but at the same time, they're supposed to be dealing with each other. Then he comes back and says, well, he's going to take care of a child. Or say, how do I know that it's not his or it's mine? Or I don't know. It's like she just putting on somebody.
This man, till this day, is still
in my life,
in the picture.
Miss Jackson lays bare her fears of Daniil facing a future son's dad and the 2-decade emotional marathon it's been. It's a heart-tugger that paints a vivid picture of the stakes involved, turning the spotlight on the ghosting and roasting of absentee fathers. Prepare yourself. The emotional roller coaster is about to hit another drop.
I want to ask Daniil, how was it growing up without a dad and having to watch your mother, help your mother try to find the man she believes is your father? How has this affected you, young man?
We had hard times, rough times. We've been through thick and thin. And she always told me don't run from your problems. So I don't run from my problems. I stick with her through thick and thin.
Daniel chips in with his 2 cents on the no-dad conundrum, shining a light on his tight-knit bond with his mom. His input drops a dollop of heartwarming truth on the episode, making the paternity puzzle even more personal. But the story takes a surprising twist next.
My mind's already set. I'm done.
I know.
Your Honor, can I give you this?
What is that?
This is just a baby book that...
Listen, babe, you don't have to decide today, but I want you to know that you do have it.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. I've been like this. We don't talk about this at all in my house. That's why I don't talk about it. I don't think about it.
In a plot twist that makes your favorite telenovela look like child's play, the DNA results are in.
It has been determined by this court, Mr. Figures, you are not the father.
Oh my God.
The case of Lusk versus Page kicks off with a paternity puzzle that could rival a daytime TV drama. Ms. Lusk is adamant that the late Mr. X is the VIP dad to her daughter, Samari, while Ms. Page, the potential grandma in question, is throwing shade on the whole matter. Right from the get-go, it's clear we're in for a roller coaster of emotions and possibly a few flying legal documents. But hold on, the saga is just beginning.
Ms. Lusk, you and your mother say you have no doubt whatsoever when it comes to knowing who your 3-year-old daughter, Samari's biological father is.
Yes, Your Honor.
Unfortunately, the man you claim is her father has died, and now you find yourself facing off against his mother, who is just as convinced.
Ms. Lusk spills the beans on her solo parenting struggles, painting a picture that would have anyone reaching for the world's smallest violin. Ms. Page, on the other hand, waves off the sob story, basically saying, "Welcome to the club, honey." It's a clash of the titans, mom style, with both sides slinging mud like there's no tomorrow, and just when you think it's all out, the story takes another twist.
It's been more than extremely difficult being pregnant at 16, having to still go through school. These past 4 years, everything has been on me and my mother. And I feel it's completely unfair because he has a whole other side. She has a whole other side to her family. My daughter is beautiful, and you missed out on 4 years, almost 4 years of my child's life.
Everybody's
Not only
a
me.
single parent. You're
You're
not the
absolutely
only one.
correct, but you
It
were a
happens
single parent
every day,
as well.
all the
You raised
You
Jasmine
hold on.
Just when you thought it couldn't get more soap opera-esque, the plot thickens with a deceased dad and a potential payday hanging in the balance. Ms. Page hints that Ms. Lusk's tears are crocodile-sized and all about the Benjamins, thanks to a juicy insurance policy. Grab your popcorn, folks. This is where the drama dial hits 11. The drama escalates further, so don't blink now.
Ms. Lusk, you were saying your daughter Samari is almost 4. She's 3 right now.
Yes, ma'am.
And you're saying you believe Ms. Page's son is her biological father. Unfortunately, her son is deceased, so this has been an ongoing paternity issue for the past 3 years related to this beautiful, precious little girl. And you're saying you need help.
They're out for money. I had insurance.
In a twist that no one saw coming, Ms. Lusk recounts a showdown with Ms. Page that's straight out of a reality TV script, complete with social media slander and public callouts. This episode in their ongoing saga adds another layer of what the heck to their complicated relationship. And the roller coaster doesn't stop here.
They had to talk to her and to find out what was going on. She didn't look pregnant. She was holding her head down. She had
had no stomach whatsoever.
You look like his type. You're very pretty, very small.
Miss Lust and
she
Miss
said
Anderson,
the
my
same
son didn't
thing.
have a particular type. He was in a relationship.
With a different woman, a long-term relationship.
Yes, for years.
More than one.
Another young lady came out to pin the baby on him, and I did a DNA test, and it was 0 probability.
Then, in a bold move that could only be described as daytime TV gold, Ms. Lusk gives her daughter the last name of the disputed dad without so much as a buy your leave from Ms. Page. This name game throws gasoline on their already blazing fire of disagreement, turning a personal beef into a full-blown family feud. Up next, the unexpected turn of events will leave you speechless.
Desmond's last name.
Without my permission.
We don't need your permission. It was permission when I laid down and was
No,
intimate with him.
no, it's
That's
not.
permission.
It's
but it will be
you're-
today.
you're not
but it
his
will be
wife.
today.
You're
You're
not his
absolutely
wife.
correct. I don't have to
I'm
pay.
his mother.
Okay, and I'm his baby mother.
No, you're not.
Yes, ma'am.
You're a
Absolutely.
wannabe.
What I'm not understanding is it seems like you all have had consistent contact with one another. Miss Page had an opportunity to see Samari? Never.
I seen her
She's
one
seen her
time by
once.
accident at an acquaintance birthday party.
Just when you think Judge Lake might just roll his eyes out of his head, he pulls a classic judge move and steers the conversation towards feelings and healing. It's like a group hug, but with a gavel and legal consequences. His wise words aim to thaw the icy vibes in the room, reminding everyone there's a heart beating under those courtroom robes. But the real shocker is just around the corner.
And I hope I'm not speaking for you incorrectly, but much of this pain and animosity that is coming out in your testimony is because you do feel like you have a situation before you and you have absolutely no one to ask a question about it, and you've lost your son in the process. Is that true?
Yes, Your Honor.
The only facts you can go by is the positioning of your son.
The DNA results have finally landed, and boy, am I itching to see what kind of circus we've got coming next. Strap in, folks. This ride's been wilder than a raccoon at a catnip festival.
It has been determined by this court. The probability of relatedness between Miss Page and Samari Page is 99.96%.
Judge Lake introduces the case with Miss Glover contesting the paternity of her sons, Donald and Javon, for the children of Miss Staten and Miss Jackson. Mr. Brady is introduced as a potential father due to a one-night stand, adding complexity to the case. It's like an episode of Maury meets the Da Vinci Code, with a dash of mystery and a pinch of regret. Just when you thought things couldn't get more tangled, buckle up for the confrontation that's coming up next.
You're here today with your sons, Donnell and Javon, to prove they did not father the children of the two women standing across from you. Now, Miss Staten and Miss Jackson, you both say you're here to demand Miss Glover's son step up as father to your daughter.
That's right.
You argue that DNA will prove you right today when the results are revealed.
Miss Glover expresses doubt about her son Donald being the father of Miss Staten's child, labeling the child a maybe baby. A heated exchange follows between Miss Glover and Miss Staten regarding their knowledge and involvement in Donald's life. The term maybe baby quickly becomes the catchphrase of the courtroom, sparking a mix of amusement and tension among those present. And just when you think it's all about the arguments, the story takes a deeper dive into the emotional roller coaster that's yet to come.
He could also be the biological father. So, Ms. Glover, we're going to handle one case at a time. Let's start with Donnell and Miss Staten. The rest of you may be seated. Ms. Glover, please explain to the court, why do you believe your son Donnell is not the biological father of 10-month-old Ariana?
Because she's a baby.
Miss Staten asserts her long-term relationship with Donald and his sole involvement during the conception period. Doubts about paternity are discussed, along with the naming of the child and Donald's signature on the birth certificate out of responsibility. The courtroom drama intensifies, resembling a soap opera where everyone is waiting to see who the real father is while secretly hoping for a commercial break. The next turn of events promises to shake the very foundations of everyone involved.
That he may or may not be the father. So that's what makes you so doubt.
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, did he sign his name on a birth certificate?
Because that's how he was raised to be a man. He was raised to be a man. A man is only going to stand his ground and do what he's supposed to do. If he felt that was his baby, he was supposed to stand there and sign the birth certificate.
Donnell presents a timeline to challenge the conception period and discusses using protection, which further fuels his doubts. Miss Staten insists on Donnell being the only partner during the relevant time, leading to more questions than answers. The plot thickens, and everyone starts to wonder if they should have brought popcorn to the courtroom. As the pieces start to fall into place, the anticipation for what what comes next is palpable.
I haven't touched nobody or seen anybody in the month of November. 3 months pregnant, going on 4 months pregnant. Where he and his mom's talking about maybe baby. How about they do the calculation?
8 years before this, Your Honor.
Non-factor sure has a lot to do with your life for 8 years.
Donald describes his efforts to support and be involved in the child's life, despite his work schedule and a contentious Father's Day incident, leading to further strain and doubts. The situation gets as complicated as trying to assemble furniture without instructions, making everyone question their life choices. You won't believe what happens next as the truth starts to emerge from the shadows.
If you had on protection, how did I get pregnant? God just gave me a baby?
No, you just slided with somebody else.
Been there since day one.
You have. You've helped out. How old is she now?
She'll be 10 months.
Have you visited her? You
Yeah,
go
Your Honor.
see her?
I mean, because of my work schedule, I'm not there all the time. But I see Ariana. I call her, make sure I talk to her.
This is something you've done for this child to help care for her.
The DNA test drops a bombshell.
Pertaining to 10-month-old Ariana, Mr. Glover, you are not her father. I know this was a disappointment.
The episode dives headfirst into the paternity kerfuffle, revealing that the plaintiff had a side hustle in the romance department during her second child's conception. Initially, she plays the denial card like a pro, but under Judge Lake's laser-focused questioning, she folds faster than a cheap umbrella in a hurricane. This twist sends the emotional drama meter through the roof, showcasing the court's journey through a relationship jungle to pin down paternity. Just when you think it can't get more intense, hold on to your hats.
You were having sex with somebody else.
I was.
During the time you found out you're pregnant with London.
I was.
And there is a paternity question surrounding that child as well.
Correct.
Is it the same man you were sleeping with during the time Paris was conceived?
No.
It is not.
No.
So it's a different guy.
Yes.
Judge Lake turns into the paternity detective, stressing that when it comes to fatherhood, DNA trumps a tear-jerking backstory any day. This segment is like peeling an onion of complicated love stories to get to the core truth of who's the daddy, serving up a side of jaw-dropping revelations that no one saw coming. And just when you're catching your breath, the story takes another wild turn.
Was it the same guy?
Yes.
Okay. So now, that's why the two children could potentially look alike, because they could potentially have the same father.
Yes.
But it may not be Mr. Johnson.
That's correct.
Wow. Does the other man know about London?
Hold on, because this ride is about to get even wilder. Next up, we zoom in on the plaintiff, whose love life seems more complex than a soap opera plot. This part of the episode highlights the all-too-human side of paternity puzzles, where emotions and questionable life choices entangle like headphones in your pocket, impacting lives and families in ways that stick around way longer than anyone signed up for. The drama is far from over. Up next is a moment that will tug at your heartstrings.
That's where the biology trumps the heart and our feelings and everything that we may want. You really wanted to be with Mr. John. You wanted to have this relationship with him. You just had something for him.
Yes.
But since you couldn't get him to do right, you decided to do wrong too.
The court decides it's time to cut through the drama and orders paternity tests for the kiddos, highlighting the judicial quest for peace and clarity amidst family chaos. Judge Lake steps up as the captain of the Truth Squad, aiming to bring some much-needed resolution to the stormy seas of familial dispute, because in the end, it's all about what's best for the children. Get ready, because what comes next is nothing short of astounding.
And so I can imagine that you do feel some hurt at this point. Well, previously, this court had ordered you to submit to paternity testing as it relates to Paris. But now, this court is going to order that you undergo paternity testing as it relates to London. Because if we gonna get the answers, we gonna get all the answers.
That's right.
The tension is thicker than the plot of a telenovela as we edge closer to the big reveal of the paternity tests. It's a roller coaster of emotions, with everyone's hearts on their sleeves, bracing for the impact of the truth. This crescendo of drama sets the stage for a revelation that's part light at the end of the tunnel and part emotional whirlwind, reminding us all why we're addicted to these moments of truth. And if you thought that was something, wait until you see what's next.
We are reconvening in the case of Amos versus Johnson. You submitted to the testing, and I have both results for you now. Before I go to the results, is there anything you would like to say?
Well, it made me speechless, hurt me. I didn't expect it.
After a wild ride on the emotional roller coaster that had more twists than a pretzel factory, the mystery of who's the daddy has finally been cracked.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Johnson, you are the father.
Woo!
Mr. Cawley spills the beans on a pivotal moment that rocked their relationship, detailing how he discovered Ms. Winters in bed with another man. The courtroom gasps as he lays it all out, with Judge Lake almost dropping her gavel in surprise. Ms. Winters quickly tries to patch things up with an explanation about their rocky relationship status at that time. You won't believe what's coming up next.
Well, what kind of issues from the past? Explain.
Betrayal, me catching her in the bed with another guy.
We were kind of broken up and having problems at the time. Before that, I had caught him talking to another girl. So.
Wait a minute, don't skip over that catching in the bed part. Mr. Cawley, tell me what happened. You said you caught her in the bed with somebody else.
Yes, Your Honor. Well, I was away, and the moment I got home, I was ready to just flop in the bed. I had been away for a minute.
As the plot thickens, Mr. Cawley airs his doubts about fathering Amoni, pointing fingers at Ms. Winters' alleged wanderlust. Ms. Winters fires back, accusing Mr. Cawley of not being Mr. Perfect himself and detailing his flirty texts with other women. The tension in the room could be cut with a knife, and just when you think it can't escalate further, the next moment ramps it up.
I believe the only reason she told me about that is to cover up the other things that she did. Guys being at the house, her hanging out with other guys and stuff like that.
I admitted at the time I was talking to other guys and stuff. A couple months before that, I had just found out he was with some girl. I just can't prove he cheated, and he won't be man enough to tell me he cheated. I just kind of strung away from the relationship.
Because I didn't cheat.
You all have all this going on, and Mr. Cawley, you're saying because of all of this, you have doubt concerning Amani's paternity.
Yes, Your Honor.
Transitioning to domestic details, Mr. Cawley describes their move-in drama and his stepdad duties to Ms. Winters' other kids. He talks about the weight of these new responsibilities with a hint of pride and a touch of overwhelm. It's a real peek behind the curtain of their everyday lives. Stick around because the emotional roller coaster is about to go for another loop.
The main problems started happening because, we started getting more serious. We had more problems.
Yeah, as soon as we got our first place, that's exactly when we started going downhill.
Why? Said it was too much responsibility for you, Mr. Cawley.
I'm a young man. I have no kids, helping her take care of her 2 kids.
Oh, so when you moved in together, Ms. Winters had 2 other children.
2 other children.
Prior to this
relationship.
relationship.
I had them when I met him too, so.
In a soap opera-worthy twist, the couple hits a brief pause on their relationship, only for Ms. Winters to find out she's expecting. The plot thickens with the baby news, stirring up a mix of hope and uncertainty about their shared future and the baby's paternity. Fasten your seatbelts as the next reveal is just around the corner.
And so after this incident, you all decided to break up?
We did for maybe a week or 2.
But at some point, you come up pregnant.
We ended up getting back together at the end of 2013, and we pretty much were like, look, we're either gonna stay together and quit all this, we're just gonna break up.
We did make an agreement that we weren't gonna mess around and do all that no more. Around the time that she said that she was pregnant with Amani, her family member told me that she was at the house with the guy that I asked her not to be.
Hold on to your popcorn because the lie detector results are in, and they're juicier than a ripe peach in summer. Ms. Winters is caught in a fib about her fidelity since the end of 2013. The crowd's reaction is priceless, and the couple's future hangs in the balance. The revelations keep coming, and you won't want to miss what happens next.
Have you had sexual intercourse with anyone other than Michael since the end of 2013? You said no. The lie detector determined you were being deceptive.
Now, that's not true.
Are you currently hiding a sexual or romantic relationship with another man from Michael? You said no. The lie detector determined you were being deceptive.
What?
And now, the moment we've all been waiting for, the paternity test results are finally unveiled.
Calling, you are the father.
Buckle up, the courtroom drama is just heating up. Judge Lake introduces the case of Thompson versus Lee, where Ms. Thompson accuses Ms. Lee of harassing her family for financial gains following her brother's untimely demise. She is determined to prove that he is not the father of Ms. Lee's 3-month-old daughter, thereby protecting her brother's legacy. Just when you think you've seen it all, the next moment is ready to top it.
Ms. Thompson, you say that after your brother's sudden death just months ago, the defendant began harassing your family for financial benefits, and you are here to defend his honor by proving he is not the biological father of her 3-month-old daughter, Nevaeh.
Oh boy, here we go. Ms. Lee steps up with a bold claim that the deceased, Kevin Harris, is definitely the father of her daughter and is counting on today's test results to prove her right and clear her name amidst these serious accusations. Stick around, the plot thickens and you won't believe what's next.
Is 100% your daughter's father, and say today's results will prove your case and clear your name. Ms. Thompson, so how positive are you that he he is not the father?
I'm 100% positive.
This next bit is a doozy. Ms. Thompson is adamant, 100% certain, that Kevin Harris is not the father, echoing his own beliefs. She recounts her brother's harsh words describing Ms. Lee as a money-hungry, compulsive liar, which sends the audience into a whirl of gasps and murmurs. Hang tight, because what's coming up will flip the script.
My brother was 100% positive that he was not the father. He stated that Ms. Lee was a money-hungry, compulsive liar.
What else did he tell you?
Well, told me that basically she was just one of the ladies that he was sleeping with at the time, and she claimed to be pregnant by him.
But he did not believe that.
No.
Grab your popcorn, things are about to get even spicier. The story deepens as Ms. Thompson details her brother's tangled romantic involvements, emphasizing his disbelief in Ms. Lee's pregnancy claims. Her tale is bolstered by her snooping discoveries of incriminating photos and texts on her brother's phone. Don't touch that dial. The revelations just keep coming.
I got to asking, who is this lady? One of the ladies happened to be her, and he told me, this is the girl who claims that she's pregnant by me.
When he said that, did you say, well, are you the father or not?
I did ask him, like, what do you mean claims to be pregnant by you? Is she pregnant? He was like, yes, she's pregnant, but it's not my baby.
Did he tell you why he was so certain he was not the father?
He didn't believe he was the father just because of her reputation.
Strap in for this wild ride of a conception story. Ms. Lee shares her version of how she became pregnant, pinpointing a specific encounter with Kevin Harris. She details her immediate physical reactions, which she interpreted as signs of pregnancy, despite skepticism that maybe it was just the cocktail mix from last night. You'll want to stay seated for the next part. It's a real cliffhanger.
But you were sleeping with him, right?
Right, and I know exactly what happened when we got pregnant, what day, all of that. He called me, and I was hanging out with friends at a hotel. He came and got me. We went to the house. We did what we did. After that, I cleaned up, and after I cleaned up, I threw up, and my body reacted and started changing automatically. And I found out.
You were pregnant in second.
And I went to the store the next day, and I got 2 pregnancy tests, and they both came positive. I called him. He said, oh, that's not my baby.
Things are heating up, and not just from the courtroom lights. During a fiery debate about Ms. Lee's previous pregnancy claims, probing questions about their unprotected relationship surface, laying bare the complexities and disputes about their connections. Next up, revelations that will make your jaw drop.
Now we'll return to our regularly scheduled programming. The obvious question is, were you just already pregnant?
No, ma'am. And I
Your
got
Honor, this isn't the first time that she claimed to be pregnant by him.
That's a lie. I don't want to be pregnant. You hear me? I ain't never walked around talking about, look how little I am. Come on now.
All right, hold on. Saying this is the second time?
From his
What do you mean?
That was the second time she claimed to be pregnant by him.
Can it get any more intense? Yes, it can. As Ms. Thompson recounts the disrespect her family endured from Ms. Lee. Following Kevin's death, she describes a fiery clash over belongings Ms. Lee claimed from Kevin's estate, which she insists were rightfully hers. Brace yourself. The emotional roller coaster is just picking up speed.
The only reason my family even have issues with Miss Lee is because of the constant disrespect to my family.
What disrespect have I gave them?
The day after we found out he was deceased, she and her friend went to the house.
And I got my belongings I bought him, which is Jordan's birthday, a Jordan shirt, some Jordan socks, and the rest of the stuff that I bought.
Hold on. What happened?
You're exactly right, and he's dead and deceased, so I'm gonna take what I bought, of course.
You won't believe this twist. As the court delves into potential financial support for the child, Ms. Lee's questions about a will and Social Security benefits stir up a hornet's nest of family mistrust and financial desperation. Stay tuned, the crescendo of this family feud is up next.
A lot of people that we grew up with, friends, family, and whatnot, come and they donated so that we can bury my brother. And the day after the barbecue, one of my family members gets a phone call from Ms. Lee stating, when is the reading of the will? My baby's entitled to something.
That is a lie. I asked her mom for the Social Security number, baby. That is a lie. I ain't said nothing about no will. For one,
the stakes couldn't be higher as the truth starts spilling. The climax approaches as family ties and truths are dissected, with relatives shedding light on the nebulous nature of Ms. Lee and Kevin's relationship. This critical juncture is key to understanding the deep-seated family tensions and contested narratives. What follows is a revelation that could change everything. Get ready!
You believe this young woman was sleeping with someone else, or were you asking for it because your brother expressed?
That's what my brother said.
I was asking because, number one, my brother did not believe it was his child. And number two, just to get everything cleared all up.
Were you offended, Miss Lee, when they asked for the DNA test, or were you understanding?
Right.
You were offended.
For one, look at her. Dad, I don't have to get no DNA test when I wasn't the one creeping and sleeping around with other people.
He wasn't creeping.
And now, for the moment we've all been waiting for. The DNA test results are in.
It has been determined by this court. Nevaeh Harris is related to Miss, that is your brother's child.
It's okay. Well, you still don't need him, baby.
Mr. Cleveland expresses doubt about paternity due to infidelity. Just when you thought it was a normal day in court, Mr. Cleveland admits that he has doubts about being the biological father of his son, Hunter, due to his wife's past infidelity. He confirms his suspicion and distress over the situation, deeply troubled by the thought that Hunter might not be his. Brace yourself, the drama is just getting started.
Mr. Cleveland, you admit that your wife was unfaithful and you have good reason to doubt Hunter is yours. Additionally, you have petitioned the court for a lie detector test for your wife to determine the extent of her infidelity. What is the state of your marriage right now?
Our marriage is currently on the rocks. We argue on the daily. I see him treating our son differently than he does his daughter, and it bothers me inside.
I try not to treat him any differently.
Mr. Cleveland struggles with emotional attachment to Hunter. Talk about a tough situation. Mr. Cleveland describes his emotional turmoil when interacting with Hunter, revealing that he sometimes doesn't see his own features in his son, which causes him significant distress. He admits to having to put Hunter down and walk away because it's too hard for him to cope. Keep watching. It's only going to get more intense.
That makes a person really emotionally upset. There are times that I'm holding him and I look at him and I don't see me in him and I have to set him down and walk away because it's too hard.
He's only 1.5 years old. He has a whole life to grow and to get more features that resemble my husband.
I don't see it. I see so many features of it that aren't me. And
so you
just
wonder. Don't see yourself when you hold him. And this, I'm sure, is affecting him in some ways, but affecting your marriage as well.
Yes,
a lot.
Your Honor, it is.
Mr. Cleveland feels like he's living a lie. This is a real doozy. During the session, Mr. Cleveland expresses his frustration and emotional pain, feeling as if his life is a sham because he doesn't know if Hunter is his biological child. His suspicion is compounded by the ongoing issues in his marriage and his wife's infidelity. Hang on, there's more turmoil ahead.
I mean, I feel like I'm living a lie, Your Honor.
Why do you feel that way?
I'm in a marriage. My wife's a cheater. I don't know if this little guy is mine or not.
I am not a cheater. I didn't cheat on him.
Who are you texting?
He was an old friend of mine from school.
But isn't that cheating of some form? Isn't that at least emotional cheating?
It is, Your Honor. I was ready to call it quit, and I was ready for a divorce. He finds out that I kissed this guy, and he wants to be husband of the world, you know? He wanted to be a perfect husband.
Stephanie reveals the paternity uncertainty post-birth. Did you see that curveball coming? A significant revelation occurs when Mr. Cleveland recounts that a month after Hunter was born, Stephanie informed him of the possibility that Hunter might not be his. This moment deepens the paternity issue as it introduces the potential involvement of Mr. Cleveland's friend. The plot thickens. Stay tuned.
So how did it go wrong and get to the point where you didn't believe this child was your child?
A month after he was born, she informed me that he could possibly not be
Your Honor,
mine.
that is not true. I told him the first month I was pregnant that it could be his or his friend.
Now.
Wait, what? What did you say?
A month pregnant, and I told him it could be his child, but it could also be his friend's. Me and his friend had a sexual relationship.
No, she didn't, Your Honor.
Stephanie admits to emotional cheating. Whoa, did she really just say that? Stephanie confesses to sending emotionally charged messages to another man, admitting that it constitutes cheating. This disclosure highlights the deep issues in their marriage related to trust and emotional fidelity. Watch out, the next part is a real kicker.
She liked that he had money, Your Honor.
Your Honor, that's not true.
I was at a down and out point in my life. She liked the fact that he had more money.
He didn't even have a job, Your Honor.
I don't know what they were spending the money on.
So, Ms. Cleveland, what was it about this relationship that attracted you? Because you had unprotected sex with this person.
Yes.
Adam fears the marriage might end pending test results. Now, this is where things really heat up. As the court session nears its conclusion, Mr. Cleveland voices his anxieties about the future of their marriage. He states that if the lie detector and paternity tests prove unfavorable, he might not be able to continue in the marriage, underscoring the high stakes of the outcomes. You won't want to miss what comes next.
You know, since then, she's told me, there's a possibility he's not. And we've been waiting for the chance to see if he's mine or not, and I really need to know.
And that's really exactly why we're here.
If he's not mine, and if the lie detector test proves that she is lying, I'm afraid this marriage is going to be over. I can't continue to do this. I really can't.
Ms. Cleveland, the stakes are high here today.
It hurts. It hurts a lot.
Paternity results revealed, Mr. Cleveland is not the father. Get ready for the big reveal. The climactic moment of the episode arrives as the paternity test results are read.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Cleveland,
yes,
you are not the father.
I thought so. I really thought so. I mean, I see it.
Grab some popcorn. This is going to be good. Miss Morrow confesses she's been duped for 30 years. Today, she's here to determine if her dad is actually her dad or if her uncle pulled a sneaky switcheroo on her. The suspense is real, folks. Get ready, because the next chapter is a doozy.
Ms. Morrow, you say you've been living a lie 30 years. You stand before the court today ready to finally find out whether your biological father is the man you grew up believing to be your dad, or if his brother, Mr. Curry, is your father.
Things are getting spicy. Mr. Curry admits to a wild night that could have rewritten the family tree. He's not convinced he's the father, citing a cast of possible characters who could also be on the paternity bill. Up next, the plot thickens even more.
Now, Mr. Curry, you admit to sleeping with plaintiff's mother one time after a wild night of partying.
Yes,
but
Your
you
Honor.
say you don't believe you're her biological father because there were other possibilities as well.
Yes, Your Honor.
You're not going to believe this twist. The crowd gasps as Miss Morrow drops a bombshell. The DNA test says her dad isn't her dad. Introduced to her so-called dad at a tender age, she never saw him again until a surprise letter at 15. The intrigue just skyrocketed. Keep watching, it's about to get even wilder.
I thought was my biological father. Did a DNA test himself. After 30 years, it came back that he wasn't my father. So basically for 30 years, I lived this lie thinking that he was my father. I never met him until I was about 7 years old at a court for child support or something. I briefly stepped off the elevator, said, "Amanda, this is your father." He said, "Hi, how are you?" That was it. Until I was 15, randomly a letter came in the mail from him saying that I'm your father, I want to be in your life.
Hold on to your seats, this ride's getting bumpier. When it turns out the DNA sample might have had a day out in the sun or a month, skepticism rises. This mishandling could mean the results are as mixed up as a reality TV plot. Don't go anywhere. The confusion is just ramping up.
And this was an at-home test.
He purchased
and
the test.
he left his sample sitting where for a month?
He sat in his car for a couple weeks, and then
Conflicting story there. He told me he left it on his refrigerator.
And he told me he left it in the car for 2 weeks, and then when he mailed it, it got mailed back to him because there wasn't enough postage on it. So that's when this all started. When he mailed me that part for me, he mailed me two samples. One for my mother, one for me.
And just when you thought it couldn't get more tangled, amid the family drama, Miss Morrow reveals her mother's harrowing past, throwing another layer of complexity into the mix. Now there are multiple potential fathers and a story that could rival any primetime thriller. Next up, even more jaw-droppers.
I find out that you lied to me. And then that's when she came out and said, "Amanda, I never wanted you to know the truth. When I was young, I was gang raped by 3 men, and you're a victim of that rape, and David's not your father." I didn't believe that story.
So I wouldn't believe it either because
he was one of them.
I was the first one to sleep with her. I slept with her one time.
You slept with Ms. Morrow's mother.
Correct. Then I introduced her at a party to my brother, which she started sleeping with him.
Like, why not say, "I don't know who your father is"? Why say, "This David Curry is my father"?
As the mystery deepens, so does the family tree. Yet another potential dad enters the scene, expanding the paternity quest and ensuring no one in the courtroom can keep track without a scorecard. The family dynamics here are wilder than a holiday dinner gone wrong. Stay tuned, the saga continues with more twists.
Who I'm close with, he said, "Hey, Uncle Ken knows some things." And that's when Ken reached out to me and told me that he slept with my mother, another man slept with my mother, another man slept with my mother. He told me the name of the other man that David and he both thought was my father all these years.
All of these men,
Correct.
on top of that, you do a DNA test with the man you believe to be your father, and there's an issue with the sample.
Correct. This document is a game changer, folks. We dive into a paternity acknowledgement signed decades ago, yet he's mysteriously absent from the birth certificate, thickening the plot and adding legal intrigue to this familial puzzle. What's next? More surprises that you didn't see coming.
I read a message David sent to me that my mother sent to David, stating, "I hope you do the DNA test so I can spit in your face for doubting that she's your daughter." And then I also read that he signed a paternity agreement when I was just about 18 months old, which I have a copy of. I went to the courthouse to find this myself. I never knew about it, stating that he's my father. He's not on my birth certificate because he didn't do the DNA sample.
This is, in fact, an acknowledgement of paternity.
Prepare for your jaws to hit the floor. The DNA results are in, and
Amanda, Mr. Kenneth Curry is not your father.
Sorry, sweetheart.